See if we're online. Can we hear my voice? That's the most important thing. Yes, it is. There you are. Hey YouTubers, this is Jacques Gaines from Jacques Gaines Photography, and I am here today to talk to you about the big decision I made 1 year ago, and that was to get a Fujifilm stills workflow. So today I'm going to talk to you about my regrets and reasons why I thought it was good and why it was not. Well, so much for my intro. For some reason, there you go. Hey YouTubers! So as I said before, it's most important for me to talk to you about this. Listen, I made some charts and I started evaluating my whole situation, how things were going. I still have a Canon 80D, which I love, but I also have a full Fuji collection. In my collection, I have the X-T2 and I have the X-T20. Both these cameras are great. The Canon cameras are great for their reasons, and the X-T2 is great for their reasons. However, I find myself missing the DSLR thing, but not all the time, because I also like the mirrorless thing. So before I start this video, I just want you guys to realize, and it's very, very important to realize, that both sides, I think, have good reasons why you want to have a DSLR and why you would want to have a mirrorless camera. I am sticking to the X-T2, so maybe that's a spoiler alert. I'm sticking to the X-T2. I don't regret the actual move, but for certain reasons, I miss the old Canon system on the DSLR, and for certain reasons, I really enjoy the X-T2 mirrorless system. So today, that's what I want to do. I want to talk to you about those things. Now, let's just look at, I actually decided to post up my receipts. Now, if you look here, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about me buying them roughly at the same time. So I actually bought the X-T2 plus the battery pack. That was a great deal at the time. I think I got it for $2,400, but if you check right down there, you will see that there's an actual huge rebate that Fuji was giving. And at the same time, I had a bit more cash, so I went out and bought the 35 f2. These are purchases I never ever regretted. Later on, here's another receipt where I actually went out and bought the 56mm 1.2. Now, I guess the most important thing to do right now is to maybe talk about why I made the jump and said, hey, what the hey, maybe I should just go for the Fuji mirrorless system. Now, here are a couple of things, and I think they're important to mention. I really like the Fuji philosophy. I'll leave some links below to some of the videos. I have 5 reasons why I decided to move to Fuji and stuff like that. Now, one of the big things is the firmware upgrade, and I'll show you this right now. Now, what's great about today is that it's good timing to show you how cool it can be to have a company that lets you buy their camera and via firmware upgrade actually upgrade a lot, not just little debugging and stuff like that. You can get some really cool firmware upgrades. Fuji really is a company that says to themselves, okay, someone's buying into the Fuji system. Maybe when they buy into the Fuji system, they can also have some added perks as they own that one piece of camera. The most recent firmware upgrade, which is the 4.1, which is going to be I think it's going to be 4.2 later on because they had a couple of bugs. But what it does is it adds a whole ton of different new features on the camera. I mean, even there's some people talking about the fact that maybe the XH1 is not that great of a buy because the firmware upgrade on the X-T2 is so amazing. So what I did, I also decided to get out the menu of the camera itself and show you some of the new features that you have on the X-T2. I don't want to spend too much time because that's not what the video is about. But if I go into the menu right here and we go into just the video, I'm just talking about video features. I bought this camera. It did not have high speed 120 frames per second. It did not have any sort of log profiles, and I was okay with that. And that was about a year ago. But what Fuji did is recently they added this right here, full high speed, and you can see right here they added different frame rates and different speeds at which you can shoot some high speed slow-mo in high quality HD. So I have not tested it yet. I'm not here to critique, but it's just to mention that I like that philosophy of building up on what they used to have. Here's another feature that they added. You know, I bought this camera a year ago, and all of a sudden I got this new feature. Now I also have F-Log. I have F-Log with high bit rate that I can send to the external recorder, and a lot of other new features. So when you do buy into the whole Fujifilm system, sorry about that. When you buy into the whole Fujifilm system, you're buying into a system that offers a lot of great stuff additionally afterwards. Oh, what is this? Jonathan Allard says, no, Jacques, the Fuji fanboy is me disappointed. Just kidding. Anyways, so listen, another thing I want to mention. Listen, Jonathan, watch the whole video because I am going to talk about stuff I miss on the Canon side as well. I also mentioned in those videos that I really like the dial system. It's the old system, and that is something that I find really, really cool. The simplicity of the camera. Well, this goes back to the fact that I used to own a Canon AE1 film camera. Therefore, the dials are almost the same. I don't have to deal with any sort of mode, so I like that whole idea. I like the after sales support, as I told you before, the firmware. I had a problem with one of my cameras where I had dust on the sensor. I'll also leave a link to that video as well. And that bugger, I sent it in. They gave me, no questions asked. They fixed the sensor and they sent it back. So that was one of the big reasons when you're talking about the whole Fuji philosophy of the camera. The next thing is that I wanted a 100% stills camera setup. So I said, maybe I should go for a camera company that really is pushed towards stills. Therefore, I thought Fujifilm at that time, 1 year ago, was the company to do that. I also liked the whole idea of portability of the mirrorless system. Now, we're going to talk about that later on because that was not necessarily the best bet for me, but mirrorless was always sold to me as something that could be really small. And so at that time, I said maybe it might be a good idea to get that. Also, the Fuji optics on the Fuji system and what I had read and researched and checked out reviews was second to none. So those are the reasons why I went out and bought the Fuji camera system. I went out and bought the Fuji X-T2 with the battery grip and the whole bit, and it has been a great experience. I have enjoyed it. I really like the optics, particularly. I think particularly one of the things I really do like is, here, I'll show you. I got the X-T20 here, and it's got the I like Fuji's whole line of f2 lenses. They have a 50 millimeter, a 35, and I believe they have a 23. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone on the live stream, if you feel like correcting me, go ahead and do it. But anything in the f2 line with this sort of snub nose Leica style lens look, these lenses are nothing short of spectacular on their sharpness. Price to image quality ratio is very high on those lenses. Why was I talking about that? I think I was just wanting to mention that the sharpness of the actual lens and the optics are really, really good. Now, let's get into some of the reasons why I kind of miss the whole Canon thing and why I really do like the fact that I went and decided to pick out the Fuji system. So I think I'll go really, really fast and tell you guys, maybe I should add, let me just add something here. Video, Logic Brio. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm doing this live just so you can see my face while I'm doing this. So right away, I just want to tell you guys that one thing that I do really, really like is the way Fuji takes the APS-C cameras to a new level. I think they are sharp. The way they actually process their images, the way the images comes in and it's processed is second to none. I like the idea also of a real-time review of what you just shot. That is something you can only get with a mirrorless system. So that's mirrorless versus DSLR. Now with the X-T20, there is a possibility of working with smaller stuff, and you can get your package that you're shooting with to be relatively small. Another thing I have found is that Fuji has blown me away on the video side. Video quality of what the Fuji does, I never thought it would be so good. I expected to just have a stills camera, but I ended up having a stills camera with excellent video quality. And now with the new firmware, the 4.1 update, I now have 120 frames per second, F-log. I'm so eager to work with that stuff. Now the workflow and the ergonomics are great. However, after a year, I am still not used to them. This might be due to the fact to my busy workflow, doing a lot of stuff. But I just wanted to mention that those are things that have made me really enjoy the whole Fuji XT2 and XT20 workflow. Now, here's the chart, and the kind of regret, you probably read it while I was talking. I miss full frame. Whether I miss Canon full frame or full frame in general, well, I think it's a question of just full frame in general. And with the Fuji X-T2 system, you don't have that possibility of going full frame at all. And no matter what anybody says, and I know there are going to be a lot of people going to yell at me, but ISO tolerance, depth of field, resolution, and low light tolerance is just higher on any full frame. Now, it has also made me more disciplined. I'm a better shooter because I'm working with APS-C, but I do miss the whole full frame thing. Another thing is that I'm a guy with big hands, as you can see, so big feels good sometimes. I really do still like to shoot with my Canon 80D. It's a nice, big, thick camera. It's thick because of the mirror, so I kind of like that, and I kind of enjoy that, so I just wanted to mention that as well. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, which is pretty weird because I have a plus and a minus. I tell you guys that I really like the ergonomics of the X-T2 because it's the old-time system, but I wanted to mention that not old-time ergonomics are not necessarily the best. We've moved on, and I think that Canon ergonomically and Nikon, both of them, I really think the ergonomics, they're made to shoot. It's just when you pick up a Canon camera, the way the grip is, where the buttons are, when you get used to it, you are shooting, and you're shooting fast. I haven't found that with the X-T2 system yet, but I like them both. So I just wanted to mention that I sort of miss the ergonomics of picking up that camera and feeling it. Yes, here's another thing. Now, once you go, when you're in the Fuji X-T2 system and you decide to go, the X system, and you decide to go into high quality glass, you lose that small form factor thing. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. I shoot a lot of events. I have a 70-200. I used to have a 70-200 f2.8L, which I needed whenever I shot events. That's a big ass lens, and it's a heavy lens. To get the equivalent, I had to buy the 50-140 by Fuji right here. And as you can see, it's not a small lens either. With the X-T2, you are getting the small factor, but not as much anymore. So that's kind of a bummer that you lose that, because it's probably one of the reasons I wanted to get a lightweight camera that was smaller, that I could go in and shoot. But once you get into better glass, you know, the front element here just has to be big. It has to be big to let in the lights, to get the sharpness that you need, and the whole bit. So that's another thing. And last but not least, you will not save money with Fuji. Now, a class quality is just expensive. So I'm sorry about that, guys. I just wrote that bad. Okay, glass quality. I'm supposed to say glass instead of class, but you know, I mean, this could be a political video if you like, but I believe that glass quality in general is an expensive thing. For a good example of that is the Sony a7 II. I think the a7 II right now is one of the best deals you can go out and get. But once you buy that body, you have to go for Sony glass. And Sony glass in the high quality stuff, the G series stuff, and all that is damned expensive. So the money you saved on that body, you have to go spend on that glass. And I think it's the same generally speaking for most companies, but I really feel that those are things that might cause a bit of problems in the fact that you say, well, it's going to be cheaper if I go for a certain type of camera, but in the end, once you actually start spending on your glass, it's there and you got no choice but to spend the money you have to spend. I just decided to show you guys a couple of shots I got to show you that the X-T2 is not a slouch at all. This is shot with the 50-140. This is f2.8 the whole time, done in a show that was ridiculously dark. But what I do find great about these two shots is they really push forth the idea of shadows and highlights, the differences, the dynamic range. These images to me are great, and they really show the quality of the X-T2 when you go out and shoot. So I believe that the X-T2 is not a slouch in the APS-C range type cameras. Here's some other shots. This was taken, believe it or not, with some relatively cheap glass, the 55 to 200 millimeter lens by Fuji. And there it is. I just wanted to show that as well. And I also had some glamour shots I wanted to show you guys. You know, it's sharpness galore. The sharpness is there. They are cameras that are second to none. So in the end, I think the basic thing, what I'm trying to say in all of this is that both are great. I do regret sometimes not having that Canon workflow. I sort of miss it sometimes, but at the same time, a lot of the new X-T2 features I just love, and I love to pick up that camera, and it's just a new workflow I'm learning to use. Now, that's basically all I wanted to talk to you guys about. Make sure that you heard what I had to say. The last thing I wanted to say is, what am I going to do next? Well, a while back, a lot of you viewers were telling me that I've suffered from gas and, you know, gear acquirement syndrome, and you guys are so right. You're so right. Therefore, I'm going to take what I have and use the hell out of it. Later on, I might upgrade to a full frame mirrorless system. And I am a big fan of Canon in general. Therefore, rumor has it is that Canon will be coming out with a full frame mirrorless camera soon. I think it's going to be great. I might be wrong. I might be right. But no way in hell am I ever getting rid of my Fuji glass, my Fuji cameras. I love them to death, people, but I love the Canon stuff as well. Generally, both of these companies, you know, are fantastic. They let you develop a love for the camera and using it, the technicality of photography, and they also encourage your love for photography in general. That's all I had to say. Now I'm going to answer a couple of questions live. Pardon me. See what you guys have to say real quick. And then after that, I will finish the live stream. But let's see what people have to say here. And nos angry Fujist, well, yell on you. Okay, let me see. Whoa. 35 f2 is amazing. Took me every time on the street. Man, this is by Hoaxing Queen. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. He's using the 35 f2. That thing is... It's crazy, people. I'm leaving a link below so you can actually see. I actually pixel peep that lens. It kicks ass. It really kicks ass. I'm pissed right now. Angry Fujis, I don't know what this guy is saying. That you are sponsored. Oh, this guy's telling me Joseph will yell on you that you are sponsored. Oh, you think Angry Photographer is going to say I'm sponsored? Well, maybe. I don't know. Angry Photographer. He's quite the character, isn't he? Here's someone who says, I used to have the 60D 3 years ago. Loved it. Now I got an X Pro 2 35mm f2 for street stuff and a Sony A7 III for video. Can't blame you for switching. Fair review on the Fuji system. Hey, thank you very much. Listen, it's something else. I mean, when you realize, look, when guys, this firmware update, just go if you get the chance, and you're maybe considering Fuji. You're just considering. Think of it. A year ago, I bought a camera that was max 60p 1080, and that's it. And all of a sudden, they have a firmware upgrade that takes my camera, poof. It's literally as if I bought a new camera. It's really as if I bought a new camera. So, yes, good point. Listen, it is a great system. Oh, thank you. Somebody said gorgeous shots. Thank you very much. Fuji glass is good, but you pay the price for full frame lens crop and sense. Yes, you know, it's just a fact of life. I don't think it has a lot to do with Fuji itself. The fact that the glass costs so much. In general, all good glass is going to cost you a gazillion dollars. If anyone knows why, what happens in the polishing phase, what do they do, the lens elements, the coatings, I know nothing about this. But good glass is a pretty penny. And apparently, if you learn the actual process and how it's actually made, you realize that it's actually, when you look at good glass and how it's made, you look at the actual manufacturing process, the conclusion is it's surprising it's as cheap as it is. But anyways, have any issues? Oh, beautiful. Have you had any issues with the sensor? Yes, Bao, I have. Bao Nguyen says, have you had any issues with the sensor? On the XT2, I had issues with the sensor. I brought it in because I was getting this one spec. I brought it in for a sensor cleaning. The guy at the shop told me, listen, that's underneath the coating over the sensor to protect it. So I sent it back, and within roughly 10 days, I had my camera back. And so after I got those sensor issues taken care of, everything went really good. So I was really happy about that. But that is basically my shout out to Fuji for great after sales support. It was there, even though there was a fault. Kwan will release a mirrorless full frame camera with video anytime, I think. Yeah, apparently Canon was thinking of releasing a full frame mirrorless, and the rumors were that it was going to come out at Photokina. That is not the case. I think most likely that camera is going to be coming out in Q1 of 2019. Everything points towards that. There might even be a whole new lens system for that. But that's it. Manish Bala. Hey, Manish, how are you? You said, I just joined now, couldn't hear your views. Listen, Manish, I think later on I'm going to archive this. You'll be able to check it out and see what I thought about the whole system from Canon to Sony. So it's funny. So now I know I'm now with Fuji and love it. I kind of regret certain parts about Canon, but I have not abandoned Canon. I really do love that company as well. So there you go. Have you just upgraded my XT2 to 4.1? The AF speed has jumped. Oh yeah, cool. Somebody here says that if you upgrade the firmware, you're going to actually get higher autofocus speed as well. Massively for action shots. Release pleased with my new old camera. Yes, that is kind of cool. So he says that on the new firmware upgrade, here I'll just try to go into that menu right now. We'll see what we got there. I'm gonna have to pop that open. But he's saying with the new firmware upgrade that your actual focus speed will go up as well. Oh, yeah, sorry about that, everybody. Try to get that to... No, that's not showing. Oh, there we go. So that's kind of cool. But again, as I said before, guys, really cool that the movie output, that some of the new movie upgrades in there are just fantastic. And that's really great to see. I'm just so happy about that, man. It's just so cool. I got a brand new camera, for God's sake. Got a brand new camera. Do you always keep XT2 battery grip on even if not shooting video? Asking for weight purposes. Do I keep my battery grip on my XT2? The answer to that question is it's yes and no, depending on what I shoot. I do shoot events, and some events go on for a full day. I don't shoot weddings, but I think someone who's doing weddings, they're best to have the battery grip. It's a mirrorless camera, so it eats up batteries a lot more. What's really great about the Fuji system is that you have a 3 battery system, whereas on a Canon system, when you put the battery grip on, you have to pull out the battery and then this whole electronic thing goes in. But on the Fuji system, the battery grip allows you to leave the battery within the body there. So you have 3 batteries. So there it is. So listen, guys, I'd love to answer more questions. What I'll do is I'll stay on the chat a little while longer and keep on answering. I just don't want my video to be too long. You guys, thank you for watching. I'm about to do another live stream on the G7X Mark III and the rumors. So check that out. But I just wanted to tell you guys, Jacques Gaines Photography is all about the journey getting there. Not only about the shot. Like, share, subscribe, people. Subscribe. Hit that like button. And don't forget, keep on making something from nothing.